Hey everybody, it's PJ from Wisconsin Airgunners, and today in this video we are going to take my Dreamline, it's a 22 caliber tube version, and we're going to be putting it into this gorgeous GRS Riflestock. It's a really simple operation that only really requires like two tools, but if you've ever had any questions about it or have been concerned about, well, how complicated it is, do I need to ship my rifle in, that's what today's video is set up to answer. So stay tuned. Before we get started, there's just a couple things to pay attention to on your Dreamline. The stock works with the tube version. I have a power plenum added in, and the stock works just fine with that. It does not work with the bottle version of the Dreamline, so you have to have the tube version. The other thing to note is that you can't use the dialed power adjuster on the back. So if you have that installed in whatever configuration your rifle was, that's going to have to come off. Remember that if you want to do any fine tuning with your hammer spring, it's going to be a lot simpler to do that in this form rather than trying to do it with the stock on. You're going to wind up taking it in and out quite a few times. So this is not a tuning video. If you want that, I guess let me know, and maybe it's something we could do in the future. But the tuning on these is really straightforward. You just have a screw back here and you're moving the hammer spring tension in and out to get the right velocity relative to your regulator pressure. So let's just go with this all being ready. From a safety standpoint, you want to make sure the rifle is decocked and then go ahead and put it on safe. The kit, and I will show you a picture of what comes in the kit, but you get a new trigger guard. You have two brass cylindrical pieces, and that actually provides the strength so that you're not screwing directly up against the wood laminate on the stock. Then you have two identical machine screws, and that's what really joins the whole thing together. And then finally you have two wood screws. You have a short one and a long one. When you look at the stock itself, you'll see that the wood that front screw is going to go into is a lot thinner than the wood at the back. So the short screw is going to go up front and the long screw is going to go on the back. And we'll go through that when we get there, but it should be really easy for you. There's no prep to do with the stock, except you need to take these brass, there's probably a technical name for this, and I don't know what it is, but you take this, you put it so the cup is facing up, and you're going to drop one in this hole and kind of get it set, and then there's this cutout here, you're going to drop one in that hole and get that set. And once you have those two things in, you're all ready to go. At this point, it's a simple matter of mating the two together. It is going to be a snug fit. You want it to be a snug fit because if you're, well, let's just face it, part of the precision that GRS is able to add to this platform is by having very tight tolerances and making sure everything is just so. So you shouldn't have to take a hammer out and pound it in, but you may have to wiggle it back and forth a couple of times, especially the first time, in order to get the rifle seated down in there. Now, in terms of tools that you need, like I said before, there's two little wood screws. You're going to need a Phillips-head screwdriver for that. However, for these two machine screws that are going to go on the bottom, you need 3mm hex heads, and you should torque these in. If you're not familiar with what that means, it means that GRS, when they designed this, has worked with FX to develop a torque specification. And torque means the number of inch-pounds that a particular fastener is tightened up to but not past. And the torque specification for the screws that go into the block is 30 inch-pounds. So I'm using this really straightforward adjustable or multi-pound torque unit by Fix-It Sticks. This one goes, it's graduated from 15 to 60. They have a couple of different ones. They have some fixed, so they just go up to the right torque and then they stop. So this one's marked at 25 and 35, so I'll be eyeballing that middle spot in between those two lines. But it's as simple as taking your Fix-It Sticks T-wrench, put that in there, put your 3mm driver, hex screwdriver there, and we're all ready to go. I have the gun in the stock. I'm going to move it so we're like this. I'm going to take the front screw, going to drop it in there, and everything is lined up. And what I'm going to do is just screw that down until I get the first tiniest bit of resistance, indicating that it's starting to get down to the bottom. And then I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to do the same thing. And if everything is lined up as it should be, I shouldn't have any problems with these being out of line or stripping anything. So you can kind of eyeball down in there for yourself to make sure that you've got that right. And then as I get down to where I'm getting resistance, I'm going to work these back and forth. Basically what I'm going to do is set one at like 15 foot-pounds, then set the other one at 15 foot-pounds. I'm just going to go back and forth so I don't get any uneven torque. And now I'm going to go up to about 20, because I want them to go in even. It's kind of like mounting a scope where you use kind of a star pattern. I'm just going to go back and forth until I get to my desired 30 pounds of torque. So now I'm at 25 on both of them, and now I'm going to 30. All right, so those are in, and right now it's mounted up. There's no movement at all. The safety's still functional, and the only thing I have left to do is install that trigger guard. So remember, the short screw is going to go up in front. Take my tool, get my screwdriver bit on there. You do want to, make sure that you pick a screwdriver bit that is, let's just call it good for the Phillips inlet on the screw. Sometimes you use too big a screwdriver, too small a screwdriver, and you can strip it out. It's a horrible way. I mean, it's just a screw and you can replace it, but it's a horrible way to start a project like this. Here's the trigger guard. This is straight from FX. So I don't know that officially there's a right way and a wrong way. I do know on mine it fits in decently both ways, and it's got a little FX on the bottom, and I'm going to put mine so that the FX is readable like from the bottom. That's just my call on that. So there is a threaded hole in there. So all you're doing, and I'm not putting a lot of pressure on that because I don't think there's any need to put a lot of pressure on that. It only is holding that trigger guard in place. It's not like, you're hanging it from the trigger guard. and I certainly don't want to over torque it and strip out that wood, because that's going to cause problems. So there you go. That is all good, ready to go. And she is just a beauty. If you don't know anything about the layout of the GRS stock, what makes them special, they have figured out that actually putting a little bit of an outward, and I think it's 6 degrees, a little bit of an outward rake on the pistol grip actually aligns your arm for better, and probably can make the argument for more accurate shooting. And if you've never felt one of these, I recommend you do it, because it just feels so right in the hand. It's really hard to put down. Up front, you have like an on-shoot style rail here, where you can attach an ARCA plate, Picatinny rail for a bipod, whatever you want there. So you have some attachment options here. On the back, you have a push button adjustable, this is hard to do with one hand. Push the button in, and you've got length of pull adjustment, and you've got the same kind of arrangement here for the comb, so you can go up or down. On the back side, they do give you a sling stud here. Of course, you could also attach something there that would give you an additional sling stud if that's how you want to take the rifle around. It comes in a couple of different laminates, and I think a walnut too, but you'd have to check with your local dealer on that. It's really adjustable, really comfortable, absolutely solid. Can't say enough about it. Really nice. And thanks to GRS for trusting us to put together an installation video for you guys for this. It's a great project, very easy to do, and absolutely something you could do in, what did it take us, about 5 minutes to get it done. So until the next video, everybody, shoot safe, shoot straight, and we'll see you around.